Afghanistan war, and they're claiming that U.S. military command knew that ISIS-K was planning to launch an attack, a suicide attack at Kabul airport, and asked the Taliban for permission to conduct a strike to take these attackers out. But the Taliban denied the request, and U.S. military command abided by the Taliban's wishes. So the conclusion being drawn here is that this attack could have been prevented, but we abided by the wishes of our enemy, and then this is what took place.
Yeah, I think I have not seen the intelligence, so it's very hard for me to make an assessment as to what they knew or what they didn't, based off the book and what's indicated in the what's been indicated about what's in the book. It's incredibly damning. I think it's kind of crazy to say that the Taliban are somehow a partner in the global war on terrorism. Somehow just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So if that intelligence existed, the ground commanders on the ground should have pressed or done things to address the threat or mitigate the threat. And a lot of things could have happened beyond just a drone strike. They could have pushed the perimeter out. The problem is that because this was done at Kaya, at Kabul International Airport, the terrain didn't lend itself to that. That's why the U.S. withdrawal of Afghanistan was a mess from the moment it started. The place where this all went down was the wrong place, and leading to lots and lots of people in a very uncontrolled environment with not really even a perimeter, or certainly not layered defense, to the extent that the Taliban were providing layered defense by, with, and through the Americans somehow, which none of that is the right answer.
Yeah, well, there's also testimony from earlier this year. Marine Sergeant Tyler Vargas Andrews, he said that he saw a suicide bomber at Abbey Gate, asked for permission to take him out, but his request went ignored. Listen to this.
Around 2 a.m. on August 26th, Intel guys confirmed the suicide bomber in the vicinity of and nearing Abbey Gate. Psychological operations individuals came to our tower immediately and confirmed the suspect met the suicide bomber description. We reassured him of the ease of fire on the suicide bomber. Pointedly, we asked him for engagement authority and permission. We asked him if we could shoot. Our battalion commander said, and I quote, "I don't know," end quote.
Emotional testimony from him in March. And the question is, whose decision was it ultimately to fail to act on all these warnings? Because not a single person has been fired despite this horrific failure. So on top of wanting accountability, there are also the questions that the same people remain in place today, and could something like this happen again?
Something like this won't happen again because we're not doing things like this anymore. In fact, we're evacuating embassies and leaving Americans behind at a clip of 100, every 6 months between Ukraine, Afghanistan, Ukraine, Sudan, and who knows what's next, Niger or what have you. So, from a decision-making perspective, that's a chain of command issue. But the real thing to understand from the soldier's perspective, or from the Marine on the tower's perspective, there needs to be an unbroken and well-established chain of command from him to whoever it is to give him the full authority. That's why he's in the tower in the first place. And it sounds like that didn't happen. He requested permission from his chain, and his chain didn't know who to get permission from. And therefore, the decision-making process fails. It's okay to be told yes to do something. It's okay to be told no to do something, but a decision has to be made. And that decision-making authority from the perspective of the soldier in the tower, the Marine in the tower, has to be very, very, very clear and well-defined, especially in situations like this that are extremely complicated, dynamic, fluid, and in fact very dangerous, to the extent that 13 Americans, 183 other people were killed.
It's unbelievable. 2 years later, and the wound is still fresh, and we hope that you are right, that something like this never happens again. But leaving Americans behind, like you said, which is what's happening right now in various areas across the world, is not the answer either. Brian Stern, Project Dynamo co-founder, combat veteran, we thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, this morning we have the brand new response from Hunter Biden's legal team after Merrick Garland appoints a special counsel to take over the investigation into the president's son.
Let's go forward real quick right here. I'd already seen that. Once more, we don't know all the particulars and what happened and who said what to who and why it was done, what it was done.
To negotiate a sweetheart plea deal with the president's son, he also let the statute of limitations run out.
Well, Republicans vow that their own House investigations into the Biden family will continue. Carly, Ashley. All right, Alexandria Hoff live for us. Thank you so much. Meanwhile, it looks like some in the mainstream media may finally be realizing the severity of the Hunter Biden investigation and what it could mean for the president's re-election bid.
Now, I think the White House and then the president's re-election need to take this a bit more seriously than what they're doing. It was very easy for a long time for Democrats to just say, well, that's stuff on the crazy right wing.
They call it House Republican stuff, right?
Yeah, and now if it's going to be in trial, it's going to be front page.
Let's go forward.
Torch to a moderate blue state governor, and you won't believe the names on his short list.
Let's go forward. Hush it up.
We are back with a Fox News alert. We are now learning 5 people, including a child, are dead after a house in Pennsylvania exploded on Saturday. 1 person is still in critical condition, 2 others were injured, and they're now out of the hospital. Investigators are still working to find the cause of the explosion, as the gas company says everything was working properly.
At this point, we can share that our system was operating as designed. In the meantime, we were all bringing all of our resources to bear to help the Allegheny County Fire Marshal in this investigation.
Officials say it could take years to find out what caused this tragedy. And check out this video. A Los Angeles Nordstrom's is completely ransacked by a mob of looters in a swarm of smash and grab chaos. 30 to 50 thieves dressed all in black with their faces covered, grabbing as much merchandise as they can before rushing out of the department store.
I tell you, a way of stopping that would be, of course, it'd cost you some money to do it, would be to have some metal bars that would come down inside or right around the inside of the outside of the glass. That way it would stop whoever was trying to get out. You would capture them. The only problem in capturing them, now you would have innocent lives in there with captured, probably upset robbers that could actually elevate the situation in it being even worse. But that would stop them from getting out. If somebody had access to a button and all they had to do was press a button and all of a sudden bars went down and it locked everything from getting out, that would stop it. In the meantime, you'd have to deal with capturing them and putting them in handcuffs and throwing them in jail. So I don't know that would be a good deterrent or not.
Large parcels of farmland.
What it is, they've learned that there's strength in numbers. And if they can get 25, 30, 40, 50 people together
30 to 50 thieves dressed
and going in and doing the same thing, they can basically go in, hit, come out, and get away scot-free. And they've learned that.
Michigan
There's strength in numbers.
handled successfully blocking a Chinese energy company from buying 2 large parcels of farmland. It was in Green Charter Township. It comes as the CCP reportedly owns nearly 400,000 acres of farmland across the United States, which is estimated to be worth more than $2 billion. Tudor Dixon is a former Michigan GOP gubernatorial candidate. John Boyd Jr. is the president of the National Black Farmers Association. And then Jeff Thorne and Lori Brock are both residents of Green Charter Township, Michigan, who are leading the local opposition to this deal. Everyone, thank you so much for getting up with us this morning to talk about this. But Jeff, I want to go to you first. Tell us how you guys managed to pull this off and how you were not bullied by this situation.
Well, how we pulled it off is by the American way. The American people coming together, bonding together, being in agreement with one another, and taking our constitutional rights to stand up for what we believe is our community. And
What did I just say? Strength in numbers.
the say and how we live and what goes on and what doesn't go on here. And so we bound together, started taking steps about 6 months ago in various ways to stand up against this.
Yeah, and we've shown numerous times the outrage from locals when they heard about what this was going to be and how this was going to happen. And like I said, you guys pulled it off, so hats off to you. But you know, Lori, you were also a big part of this opposition, but you said this is far from over. What did you mean by that?
Just that we've got a small win here, and it was because we didn't get any help from Michigan, but we called the federal EPA in, and the federal EPA came up here and they got back some of the land for us. But they're still moving forward. They have 270 acres, and they still want to move forward. So we're going to still continue to fight them every step of the way. We don't want them here, so we're going to do whatever it takes to keep them out of our community.
And, you know, Tudor, I've spoken to you about this exact story before. I think right actually after it happened, we spoke. Should it make not just people in Michigan nervous, but people all over the country nervous? And the fact that Governor Whitmer was seemingly for this, and then you never heard President Biden come out against it. Should that concern people?
No, in fact, the Biden administration said it was okay. And yes, it should concern people that this Democrat governor came out and courted this company and then signed non-disclosure agreements around this. So we are grateful to Fox for coming out and talking about this, because it educated the residents to understand that even though there had been non-disclosure agreements signed, that they could find out that there was no environmental review of this company. They could also find out that there are direct ties to the Chinese Communist Party, which they would have never known had we not been able to report on this right here at Fox News. So I appreciate that. That allowed the residents to join together and fight this. And they were even able to fight the township board that would have circumvented the system and voted to have this property rezoned had the residents not come out and formed and demanded a referendum and had a local vote on that.
Yeah, and the two residents that we have on made it very clear they were not going to be bullied by the CCP. John, I got to ask you this question. I want to pull this map up, and I want you to take a look at this. You, of all people, know how hard it is for farmers to make it, you know, not only now, but in the U.S. history. But it's seemingly harder now. When you look at Texas in particular, these states, these are acres of land, over 50,000 acres of land that's bought up by the CCP. So what is that going to do for the future of American farmers and really the future of America in itself?
Well, you know, this is a national disgrace on behalf of the president and the way that he's handled the China land grab. And I would like to say thank you to those folks for standing up and speaking out against this issue in Michigan. But this takes away valuable farmland from America's farmers. So here you have nearly 385,000 acres now owned by the Chinese government. More land than Bill Gates and this country. And this is a national security risk. They've been caught stealing seeds. China's been caught stealing our seeds. That's intellectual property. It's food security. And this administration isn't speaking out against it. I've reached out to President Biden to have a meeting with him to speak about these issues. And so far, I haven't been granted that meeting. And what is the Secretary of Agriculture doing? Who released these numbers? What is the Secretary Vilsack, saying about the China land grant? They're buying historical black college campuses. They're buying industrial plants. All of this is happening right on the watch of this administration, the president. So I'm calling on him today to take some action. And also Congress should have a national law to put a bill out there to help to protect America's farmers. Why is China allowed to buy farmland right here in the United States, but we can't buy an acre of land in China? And people, that's wrong.
Yeah, it's an interesting point you make there with all of the thousands of acres they're able to buy. But hopefully this township is more of a marker and a blueprint for the future of Americans who are going to have to go through this. Because, guys, this is not the last time we're going to hear about something like this happening, unfortunately. So good for you for standing your ground and standing up for America. Jeff Thorne, Lori Brock, Tudor Dixon, and John Boyd Jr., thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. The top 2024 presidential hopefuls spent the weekend barnstorming.
Quit you begging. Quit you begging. You ain't a beggar. You ain't a beggar. You want to be a beggar? Now, this is not coming in at all. Must be a heck of a cloud above us. What is it, Tags? Huh? I thought you was scared of storms, huh? Let's see here if one of the local channels is coming in. Hang on, I'll open the door if you want out. Come on. I ain't getting nothing. I ain't getting no reception at all. I don't know what's wrong with him. He just wants to bell her. He just wants to bell her. He's looking for attention. Well, I ain't getting nothing, so because of it, it looks like it's time for me to shut this thing down. We're getting a little cloud over here with some rain. Matter of fact, I read a while ago where they're calling for downburst and possible flooding in the Obion River and etc. The weather has just become so erratically abnormal where we either get deluges or it dries up to the point that we don't get nothing. Back and forth, back and forth. Good luck to all of us as we're living in these last days, uncertain times. I guess from a farmer's perspective, you'd rather have too much rain than not enough. Especially here during the farming belt area. Shalom.